Just to summarise what the CREST Awards are all about. So there are 3 levels of award that you could be doing in your primary schools. Today we're focusing on the STAR, which is for infant schools, so 5 to 7-year-olds. There are also the Superstar resources and award that can be done for Key Stage 2 pupils, and they're very similar to the STAR. And then there's also the Discovery Award, which is different and can be done with your Year 6 pupils. So the way that the STAR and the Superstar work is that they are a range of different activities that you can choose from. And the idea is to get the award, the children have to complete 8 activities, and they take about an hour to complete. So they fit nicely within a sort of science club activity. The activities have been designed to be easy to resource and deliver. So there are lots of different ways that you can run your CREST Awards. It could be that you've got a weekly science club, and so over a period of time, you will be doing a number of different activities. The activities that we're going to look at today, I've chosen specifically because they're the ones that I really enjoyed doing when I was doing it with children, and also the ones that I felt were the easiest to resource and the easiest to run. So it might be that you run it during a science club in the school. It could be that you actually run a science club with the children at home. So actually, now that we're really good at having Google Classrooms and that sort of thing, you can post an activity onto your Google Classrooms. The children can do that activity at home. They can upload something to show that they've completed that activity. You can see who's been uploading it, and you can then stamp the passports for them. And then when they've completed their activity, it works in exactly the same way. It could be that your teachers set it as homework, not necessarily every week, but every so often over the year. Perhaps there's 8 pieces of science homework, which is a CREST activity. So again, they can fill their passport that way. Or it could be something that you do as part of family learning, either in school or again at home, where the parents and children are working together to complete the activity. So there's lots of different ways that the children can complete the activities. And it could be a combination of those. They could do some as part of a club, they could do some as homework. Rather than having a weekly club, it may be that you decide to run a number of activities during a focused science week, whether it is during British Science Week, which would be this week, or next year you may do it during British Science Week, or you may have your own science week that you do at a different time of year. And it might be that each teacher chooses 8 activities and the children complete their CREST Award during that week. And finally, the last way you can do it is by doing those activities during science lessons. And there is a resource that you can see part of on the right-hand side there, where the activities in the resource library are then linked to the national curriculum topics. The resources are really easy to use. And you've got 2 types of resources that will help you deliver the activities. So you have the organizer's card, which, as you can see, there is literally 1 sheet of paper, and it gives you everything that the person running the club would need. So you've got the kit list, so you know what resources, and most of them are things that will be in school. It spells out in very simple, easy to follow steps, what is it you actually need to do. It gives you things to think about as the children are doing the activity. So sometimes that's questions you can ask, things that you might want to point out to them. If children get interested in the activity, there are things that you can do to take it a little bit further. So sometimes one activity they may get really excited about, and you want to spend the next activity, next session, extending that a little bit more. You've got some of the key vocabulary that you would expect the children to be using. It's probably vocabulary that they've already covered in their science lessons. And then when there's health and safety things to think about, they're also covered there. So that's the first resource, which supports the teacher or the TA or the parent or the governor to deliver it. And then we've also got an activity card that you can print out for the pupils. So you can see here, there's a number of different statements that they read. They then get a challenge. That's what they're going to be doing during the session. There's questions for them to discuss, ideas of how to get started, and then other bits and pieces. So sometimes you may choose to give the children that card and that will guide them through it. Another thing that I used to do was actually just sort of snippy tool bits of that, put it onto my slides so that actually I could run the activity in that way. So you can use the resources in a way that's most appropriate for the way you're going to do it. If you're sending it home, then you can send that home and the children will be able to do it more independently. If you're doing it as part of a face-to-face science club, then you may choose to give them the little bits and pieces as they need them.
Animal Adventures involves children going on a mini beast hunt, which fits really well with the Year 2 topic, Living Things in Their Habitats. It requires only simple, readily available resources and a suitable space for the children to look for mini beasts in, such as a nature area with rocks and logs to lift and look beneath and soil to dig in. If you have a pond, include that in the hunt. If you don't have a suitable natural space, find a patch of earth or grass and leave a piece of carpet on it for a few weeks to create a habitat for mini beasts. And when you lift the carpet, the children should find some mini beasts. To observe the mini beasts the children discover, they can carefully pick them up with a teaspoon or paintbrush, or if they're careful, with their fingers. Put the mini beasts in a petri dish if you have them, but a paint palette will do just as well. To observe the mini beast closely, provide a magnifying glass, or let the children use the zoom function on a tablet or mobile phone camera, or you can buy digital microscopes or ones that can be attached to the camera of a tablet or mobile phone. To support the children identify the mini beasts they find, they can either use an identifying app such as Seek from iNaturalist, or use identification resources such as those on the Woodland Trust's Tree Tools for Schools website. Once the children have finished observing the mini beasts, make sure they return them to where they found them. Useless umbrellas involves children exploring different materials to see which ones are the most suitable for repairing an umbrella. It fits well with the Year 2 topic of uses of everyday materials. The materials that they test should be readily available around the school, either among the art, DT or science resources. They'll also need some water coloured with food colouring. You also need some plastic trays, kitchen towel and pipettes. The children first discuss the properties required for repairing the umbrella and then test a range of materials to see which ones are waterproof. Demonstrate to the children how to test the different materials. To test whether the material is waterproof, it can be placed on some kitchen towel or a hand towel, and then 2 or 3 drops can be put on the surface. We can see there that the drops of water are resting, sitting on top of the material. And if we lift it up carefully, we can see none of the water has gone through to the paper towel, and so therefore that material is waterproof. If we test a second material, again with a few drops of water, we can see that it's resting on the surface initially and then gets absorbed into the material. And if we lift the material up, we can see that it has gone all the way through to the kitchen towel, so that material was not waterproof. The simplest approach to the children recording their findings would be to ask them to sort the materials into which ones they think are waterproof or not before they test them, and then take a photograph of that, and then compare the sorting with their findings from testing. When they have completed the test of which materials are waterproof, they can then think about which of those materials would be most suitable for repairing the umbrella, considering how flexible and strong they are.
Now that you've seen the resources and you can see how easy they are to use, now I'd like you to sort of be thinking about, well, actually, how might you then take it one step forward and actually get the children to complete the award? Is it something that you might do with the whole school, so your whole of your Key Stage 1? Is it just that you're going to do it with the whole of Year 1s or the whole of Year 2? Obviously, if you're doing it with the whole of Key Stage 1, you can only do it every other year. If you're doing it with the whole school, you can have the whole Year 1 doing it each year. It might be that you're doing it with the whole class, or it could be that you're just doing a subset of children as some sort of club. If you're going to be running a club, is it running all the way through the year, or are you doing these awards all the way through the year? Are you doing it in a focused period, so during your school science week or during British Science Week, or are you doing it within a term? So how long, over what period of time will the children be completing those activities? And then if you're doing a club, who are you going to be inviting? Is it going to be your high achievers because you want to give them a little bit more open-ended enrichment stuff? Is it your low achievers because you want to give them more opportunities to take measurements, record in tables, that sort of thing? Are you trying to encourage your disadvantaged children to give them an extra opportunities? Is it your children with English as additional language because you want to have that extra time so they can talk about their science in a smaller group rather than being as part of a class? Is it children from ethnic minority groups? Perhaps you've got target children that you're trying to focus on, or is it just open to anybody who happens to be interested?